AFC West, Broncos country, Chiefs kingdom, Raiders nation, both family. What's happening? What's going on? What's good? This is the Wild Wild West podcast. I'm your host for the moments, Coach Defense, alongside a couple of my rival/friends. We got Alex Givens to my left, right, depending on which way you're looking at the screen. We got Captain Jack Rackham down there at the bottom, hanging out tough. We are the Wild Wild West podcast. I'd like to say thank you for hanging out with us today. Richie hopefully be here in a few minutes. He had a little technical difficulties with his laptop, but we'll hopefully get him in the building sooner than later. But listen, man, the AFC West is definitely up in arms today, but for several reasons. Wow. We got some righteous victories. We got some wild defeats. We got some firings. I mean, it's definitely the Wild Wild West, if nothing else. So, gentlemen, how y'all doing out there? Alex, how you doing out there? What's going on?
I mean, besides from Sunday, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, that was a nice kick in the nuts, but
yeah.
You know, other than that, I got married Saturday, so got to
congratulations,
got to vibe with that. But Chiefs didn't help me out the following day, though. But you know, it is what it is.
Chiefs, huh? Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's messed up, man. Well, congratulations. Welcome to the club. It's all downhill from here, so it's what I was told. All downhill from here. But congratulations. Well, hopefully the Chiefs can right the ship this week. They're off to mighty old Germany to play the Dolphins this week, so we'll discuss that. Captain Jack Rackham, how you doing out there, good sir? What's going on? Man, you are the talk of the town right now for this show. I'll tell you that much. How you feeling?
Let's go.
Is he frozen? What's going on with Cap down there? Cap, you alive? Cap. He's frozen. I don't know.
He's there.
He's there.
Who? Me?
Yeah, you.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I was actually putting, while you guys were doing this, I was on my YouTube channel putting it on for like what do you call it, for monetization and where it's supposed to be. So yeah, I was frozen for a little bit. Yeah, no, it's like I was slow, but you know, I didn't hear anything, and I was and by the way, this is an homage to the very fantastic and just died today Coach Bobby Knight. When he was doing the press conferences for what do you call it, for when he was doing his press conferences and he was doing his faces, you know, so that's my homage to the great Bobby Knight. And well, yeah, that was a different one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I could throw the chair at this point.
There's a lot of cool stuff back there that
I know, right?
For some pretty solid entertainment. I'm just saying.
Yeah, throw a chair. Yeah. Throw a chair next time you're in Vegas. Just run right down the line in there.
I will. I will be there tomorrow night. I'll be there tomorrow night throwing chairs.
Just throw a chair in honor of a good man, Bobby Knight. Throw a chair for him.
That's it. I will have alcohol in his honor, and you guys know I very rarely drink, but I will have. I think he's Irish, so I'll probably have like an Irish car bomb or something, you know, in his honor. So great Bobby Knight.
There you go.
The car bomb.
Irish car bomb. Jesus, well, hard to paint, ain't he? Hard to paint.
Raiders Nation is not ready to
know what Irish car bomb is, right?
I know that's what it is.
Yeah. An Irish car. If I'm not mistaken, okay, it's a Guinness. It's a Guinness with a shot of Irish whiskey in it.
Yeah.
So, and you put the shot of the Irish whiskey in the Guinness, and you down it all. So that would be a major drink for the old.
Until you do about like 12 of those, and then you're like, "What have I done?"
I would order
no, only one. Only one.
It's big 2 or 3. It's over.
Yeah, no, just one. Pear says I need a Swedish summer shot. I do a Swedish summer shot with Pear because when I go visit Pear in Sweden next week, boy, I wish it was next week.
Whoa.
Next year, I'm going to Sweden to hang out with Pear. Yeah, we're gonna go and we're gonna be about yay together, the two of us into the what were you calling them? The Bajublies?
Jubblies.
Jubblies.
The Bajublies.
Machine gun Jubblies.
Machine gun Jubblies.
What do you call Jubblies?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Oh,
for sure.
Richard,
Pear and I will be we will just
How you doing out there, Rich? How you doing? Freshly
Rich, go ahead.
shaven, looking good.
It's
Looking
November.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am participating in Movember annually, and it is November 1st.
We're taking over-unders.
I actually shaved this morning. This is what has now grown back. So needless to say,
what an
I am
asshole. I mean, he has 5 o'clock shadow already.
That's performance enhancing
My goodness.
drugs testing.
He got PED on his beard.
He's got peds. He's pedding.
Yeah.
He's juicing his beard.
That's a violation of
You got
podcast.
your PEDs,
Oh,
man.
really?
I can't do
So-
that, man.
Look,
This morning. He's getting drug tested in the morning. Just to let you know. He's getting drug tested in the morning.
I am born and raised in Northerner. I literally my beard just grows in. I shave. I'm like the Santa Claus, and that's kind of the way it works.
Come out of Santa Claus. You showed 1 minute is right back.
Yeah.
So,
That's that kind of.
anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I am in fact participating in Movember this year. I am doing the police officer look. Last year I did the handlebar. I'm doing the cop
Kelce?
mustache. Yeah, the Travis Kelce.
Okay.
Except if you call me Mr. Pfizer, I might punch
doing
you
the
in the head.
porn stash. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Top
Doing
stash.
the porn stash,
Yeah.
man.
I may
have a
do
Barbara.
I may
about
do
to make a real
the extra bit there. It depends on what kind of support I get there on November. But for those who are interested,
I think you need to go like the nice, like General Burnside, kind of connect it into the top. You know,
I could totally do that. I
Yeah.
can do that, no problem.
yeah.
Oh, the Snidely Whiplash, man.
Every cartoon
Yeah,
villain
there
ever.
you go.
The whirly
Snidely
dirly.
Whiplash. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Or
all
go
the
like
cartoons.
Raleigh- Raleigh
ladies and gentlemen,
fingers
if you're
with it.
interested, I
Snidely
will send you the
Whiplash.
link. Just DM me, and we can go from there. But the beard will be back by the end of November because that I just know. Just know. And also for those that are interested, I've actually had a few comments on X or Twitter or whatever. I have had snow. We had somewhere between 4 and 5 inches in the last 2 days.
Damn.
It's gonna be a rough winter.
So
That's what she
this
said.
is going to be a doozy. I'm not going to lie. This is solid. Yeah. So all sorts of special. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had an interesting weekend, and we've had some interesting news over the last little bit here. So there is never a dull show on the Wild Wild West. Let me tell you.
That's for sure.
So.
Not for the reasons you thought.
Yeah, exactly. So, may as well just start off with the elephant in the room, Alex. It's time to sit down. And no,
Hey,
you will not be going
hey.
first.
Hey, it's his elephant. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
elephant. Okay, I'm glad.
as
because I
we,
put the elephant in the room. Say, hey, I look good in my Halloween suit yesterday.
no, the black is very slimming.
Go ahead.
But with regards to the big
Did you guys see
W
my
for the
Halloween,
Broncos,
my Halloween suit.
that was
Oh, yeah.
cool.
Go ahead.
That was
Look
cool.
good.
That was very cool. But with regards to the Broncos versus Chiefs, Alex, it was bound to happen sooner rather than later.
Can't let them all, right?
And I'm going to be honest, it was really a possibility the first game we played this season, if you're going to be honest, looking back at how that first game played out. And I do start to question and wonder why other teams haven't played you the same way the
Division,
Broncos
bro.
have.
It's
No, but
division. I mean,
No,
I've said that even last year, like the Broncos were terrible, and both games were like within 6 points, and the Chiefs won
right,
the Super Bowl.
right.
So
But it's not so much that it's the defensive style that the Broncos typically play the Chiefs with, and for whatever reason, the Broncos have been able to play that defensive style the last 2 or 3 seasons and really pull down a Chiefs offense that has typically been top 1 to 3 in the NFL all 3 seasons, pretty much with the exception of this year. This year, your offense is not really where it has been in the last 2 years, but certainly the last 2 years, you're top 3, top 5.
Yeah,
right.
They're top 3 right now.
Yeah. So,
Actually,
even this year now, Justin Simmons, as much as I am not a huge fan of him, aside for his off the field comments, loved what he said about Kareem Jackson. I thought that really was that needs to be posted everywhere for everyone to see. Those who didn't see Justin Simmons' comments really showed tremendous leadership in terms of stepping up and putting himself out there in going against the league's decision to suspend Kareem Jackson at all for what I thought was a completely clean hit during the Green Bay Packers game. Shoulder to shoulder hit was a legit hit and should never been flagged or suspended at all. But that aside, all that aside, Simmons did pick off Mahomes again. That seems to be something that Simmons has a bit of a knack for doing. He certainly is wreaking havoc for Mahomes over the course of the last couple of years, at least. And the Broncos ran the ball very well. We really did.
Yeah.
We really did
They
run
ran
the ball
a lot.
tremendously well. Yeah. And for those of you who did not watch the game and or haven't bothered to look at the stats from the game, Alex, a few things you may or may not have noticed, and if you're going to go back and look at the film and stuff, you'll be able to see this as well. The Broncos ran a large number of our offensive sets with 6 linemen. And we ran additional offensive sets there, or offensive plays, where we had 2 tight ends. So you basically end up with an extra lineman, except just a slightly lighter lineman. And we also had an additional percentage of those same offensive snaps with the fullback. So it was a real run.
I mean,
heavy,
it was that's what happens though when you got 5 turnovers.
Yes.
On the opposite end. So,
and there's that too, where Mahomes was a little sloppier with the ball, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that combined did not land well, obviously, for the Chiefs. And the Broncos then also were able to capitalize on those turnovers, which really kind of put you guys behind the 8 ball. Another big difference between this game and the last time you played us was Baron Browning is back. And he has a really, really high percentage win rate in the outside linebacker position. And he kind of showed that again against the Chiefs, where he was really causing problems.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there was 3 sacks given up and maybe 5 or more QB hits. So
yeah,
you could definitely tell there was a lot more pressure. But I mean, at the same time, it's odd that they played twice in 3 weeks. So, it's like the familiarity was even more. So you knew there'd be different. I mean, to Broncos' credit, like the defensive approach was totally different than the first outing.
Yes, it was.
But it doesn't help that, KC turns the ball over 5 times, like muffs a punt inside the 10, because, I mean, for the most part, until the midpoint of the fourth quarter, it was a 14-9 game. And, I mean, Chiefs could have easily gotten right back into it until, a late turnover that just finally kind of broke the camel, broke the straws back.
Well, the wheels came off the bus at that point.
You can't fool me again,
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But, the defense can only make so many stops while you keep putting them in crappy positions. So, I mean, it was a uncharacteristic game, at least in that sense, from looking at the resume of this year and how they didn't protect the ball. But I mean, me being the smug that I am, I think that game was more about KC losing it than Denver winning it, because they still, for as crappy as they played, had more offensive yards than Denver. I mean, we're in the game. Matter of fact, if Sky Moore catches a pass in the end zone, then who knows how that changes the landscape of the game. I think at that point they're probably losing anyways, but they just did a lot of things that you haven't seen them do. So it is what it is. But this time last year, or not this time last year, but last year they looked like that against even worse Colts team and still managed to pan out. I mean, I think there's a little bit more to worry from a Chiefs perspective. A little bit more to worry about the offense being able to, quote unquote, flip the script like they could last year. Just because, I mean, it's pretty apparent to me there's a clear trust issue, with anyone catching the ball that's not named Travis Kelce. And you can see that in this Broncos game where Mahomes just seemed very indecisive and then would just throw it up, and then that's what created some of these turnovers. And, that's just where they seem to sputter. So, it is what it is. Like I said, pretty terrible, just stats all the way around for the Chiefs offense. But, defense was still, I think, playing very good from Chiefs perspective. Like I said, held them to 14 points until they were pretty much F this. It can only take so much of keeping you guys in this. I mean, had 6 sacks in total on Wilson. Karlaftis, strip sack. I mean, so there's some positives to take away on that end. And, and that's the other thing too, is this is a kind of a different Chiefs team than we've seen in the past couple of years, where they actually have a defense. So it's not like they need to go game plan to, light up the scoreboard and throw for 400 yards and score 40 points. Because, I mean, for the most part, they have a unit on the other side of the ball that's not giving up anything close to that. So, it was a good AFC West game. I said it would be. I thought the Chiefs would win. I think everyone thought the Chiefs would win. And, hats off to the Broncos for, beating them in all 3 phases of the game. And maybe they build momentum off of that and things get more interesting as the season goes on. But, like I said, it is what it is. But Chiefs are still 6-2, tied for top of the AFC and control their own destiny from here. So, you hope maybe that this was kind of a wake-up call for them like the Colts were, and they bounce back, but schedule is only getting harder from here. So hopefully they figure it out soon. But the
one thing that, and I'm going to kind of throw this your way, was, do you think this is a weakness for Mahomes that you guys haven't dealt with before? And I'm going to elaborate on that so you can kind of answer the real question here, which is, so Mahomes kind of came into the league by and large with Kelce, Tyreek Hill, mentored by Alex Smith, worked with kind of those core guys when he first came into the league. And then Alex Smith kind of exits stage left. And then Mahomes takes over, and, the rest of the band is kind of by and large all kept together, and, off to the races he goes, Super Bowls, titles, etc. Now you got one dude left. You have an offensive line that's largely not the same. And
but that's better,
you haven't really replaced like for like in terms of backfilling those appropriate roles, because McCole Hardman obviously hasn't really been the Tyreek Hill light that you'd expect, right? Or we're hoping for. So do you think it was more along the lines, or this may be a bit of a crack or chink in the armor, or whatever you want to call it, crack in the foundation of Mahomes is a bit of a kind of backyard football style thrower where he'll kind of scramble, maneuver around, and just kind of chuck it up, like you said. Kelsey can kind of get on the same wavelength because he kind of is in Mahomes' head of sorts. Nobody else has been with him that long. And do you think that's where your problems lie from?
Yeah, I mean, I think to some degree, like I kind of said with the trust issues with the receivers, and like Rashid Rice has been the only solid producer in the wide receiver room, and their highest paid guy, averages 2 catches a game for, maybe 30 yards. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's definitely a problem with it, but I would just think it's, a little bit different in the sense of they just don't have that 1B type guy, or they haven't found out who that's going to be yet. Like last year, trade Tyreek and signed Juju, and that's an apples to oranges comparison in terms of the types of wide receiver, but you at least knew that Juju had experience being a number 1 guy and could probably understand zone coverages better and, finding the soft spot and things that Travis Kelce does, that make it so easy for Mahomes to find him. And you can see that because pretty early on, Juju, until he started dealing with his issues, was producing pretty well. I mean, got himself into a 3-year, $30 million contract, whatever. But then Veach took the approach of, I'm going to trade for Tony on the cheap last year and hope that, here's a first-round pick that's kind of a cast-off in this other team. Maybe we can turn him into our 1A guy. For whatever reason, that hasn't panned out. And I think I said this at the start of the year. It's a little different.
I know the reason, because they can't stay on the effing field.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. But it's different than last year. Like the Chiefs fans were saying, well, we got rid of Tyreek and still won it. And I was like, yeah, but they at least signed a competent replacement. Now it's like a bunch of unproven replacements, and you're seeing the difficulties in finding how they can mesh and have the same production that they had in years past. But up to this point, we saw a progression in that. So I don't know if you have to write some of it off as just the familiarity of the Broncos Chiefs and the fact that they literally just had film from 2 weeks ago of everything they were doing. I'm sure Reed for the most part tried to drastically change their approach and what they did, but it was still I say a good sense of familiarity. So I don't know. It's they're at a unusual crossroads, I'd say, for where they've been in terms of having the identities hashed out in the offense. But you take away a couple of those turnovers and it's still, a totally different game and you might see better production. So I'm not like overly worried about it. But I think that we can see up to this point, it's not the same Chiefs offense, despite the fact that, Mahomes is still, until this last week, was, putting up the same types of numbers that he usually puts up and was moving the ball. They just weren't finishing off drives and putting up as many points. But they're still third in the league in terms of yards per game, and I think pretty close to that in terms of points per game too. So it's not like the numbers are drastically different. It just looks different based on the people out on the field right now and the trust issues.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty apparent. And I think the other component too is Kelsey, for as good as he is, is not getting younger. And I think that we're kind of getting to the point now too, where you've realized you can't run the offense through him like they have in the past couple of years and give him 15 targets a game and expect that to always be there. He's played pretty well when certain people are in the stands versus others. And, he does still have the ability to put those numbers up, but I don't think that he can do that every week. So, it's just a lot of uncertainty in that. Yeah.
I do have to call out again and give credit to the Denver Broncos music director.
This is good.
Yes,
I got a burner now.
Yeah.
Fake,
So
you
the fake Givens.
I got a burner account.
You got a burner. You
Dude,
know you made it.
You made it.
Yeah.
You made it, my man. You made it.
Damn. That's what it feels like.
I was going to mention that credit to the Broncos stadium music director for queuing up the ultimate troll at the end of the game.
I also want to come back to this real quick, Gabe. How's Darren Waller doing? So shut up, Gabe.
And I didn't even say it. I didn't even say it. That's the beauty of it.
Also good to see you, buddy. But shut up.
I was thinking it, but then you were saying that for me. I was like, nah, that's too easy. That's too easy. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Like, I got to do it.
And sorry, Clayton, DM me on X and we'll sort something out, all right? I saw your comment. Just DM me on X or
show us on the doll.
or touch base somehow.
Asylum, this is like 4 weeks in a row with the doll. This might be a concerning problem now, brother.
Yeah, we might have to get you looked at, buddy. Get you investigated. I don't know. What's something happening? Something's going on. Right?
Yeah. But I will if you want me to.
So, anywho.
But yeah, I think that's about it. Let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say I'd say the Chiefs were probably playing the long game and just letting the Broncos win to ensure their pick is just high enough that they're out on the QBs. So, chestnut checkers.
So we'll wait and see how that works out. We will. But anyways, I would like to see a few things from the Chiefs going forward. And Alex, on your comment about what you've done with wide receivers, I think this is kind of relevant for everyone here. Last year, I figured you guys kind of did a bit of a shotgun approach where you got 2 or 3 competent wide receivers, including the general, the folks you mentioned, and 2 of them actually worked out pretty well for you, and you obviously you ended up winning it all. Whereas this year you seem to have gone more of the spaghetti on the wall approach and hope it doesn't fall off. And I'm not look at as much as I'd love to use that as an intentional poke fun. I'm actually being quite serious when I say it, which is you brought in a young rookie. You really didn't bring in a truly competent kind of 1B guy like you did with Juju or someone else like that. It's all rookies and unprovens instead of, guys that have actually done a few things or had that type of pressure on them before, like you did last season. And it's just not working as well as it did. Like last year, it worked out pretty well. This year, it's just not, it's not materializing in the same way. And I think that's fair.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
An interesting stat to put on it too is, with knowing how Rice has been kind of the pseudo 1B out of the only guy that's being able to have any sort of chemistry. There's only been 2 rookie receivers in Andy Reid's entire career that have had 1,000 receiving yards. One was Terrell Owens, and the other one was I can't remember the other one now. Basically 2 Hall of Fame players. So it's like, that's kind of a shocking stat to think of, like the longevity of this year, having to rely on someone like Rashee Rice. While it may work, I think it's a huge gamble to, do what they want to do and, repeat or, it be the same competitive level that they've been on. So, we'll see. So far, he's been a pleasant surprise, but yeah, I know I talked to Coach. Like, I thought for sure they would try to make a move at the deadline to bring in someone who's, a competent option, just so they're you're 1B when you need it, and that didn't happen. So, they got confidence in the room, but we'll see what happens.
So just before we move on to the Raiders game here, Alex, I think it'd be probably an important piece for both of us to discuss either moves that were made for each of our teams or ones that were not made for our teams, because I think that just to kind of top off the week 8, if you will, I think that would be appropriate. I don't think the Chiefs made any moves. Am I correct in remembering that or recalling that from kind of my notes?
Yeah, I mean, traded for Hardman, obviously, but that
Yeah, that was
deadline thing.
Yeah.
The only thing they've done of late is they re-signed Darius Harris, a linebacker who was on the team all up to last year, and undrafted guy, so he's familiar with Spag's system, and that's just kind of because as you saw in that Denver game, I mean Bolton's already out. At one point, we had Cam Jones, an undrafted guy, and Jack Cochran and Leo Chanel out there in the heart of it's heart of the defense. So certainly, what was a strong point of the defense at the start of the year has kind of become a concern for this, lack of depth. So that's really the only move they've done to shore up some things. But yeah, I think I told Coach for the second year in a row I was trying to summon, Scary Terry and the Chiefs red, but Washington wanted to get rid of everyone else, but not him.
Right. Yeah. You were trying to seance Scary Terry. I'm going to summon a corner or a safety. Name me.
I don't know if this is a total troll or not, but Justin Ross has got some problems off the field of his own that
he does.
He ain't going to be playing for a minute. So
yeah.
But thank you, Burner, for the segue.
A minute or 3, minute or 4, a minute or 5.
Yeah. So with regards to the Broncos, a couple surprises for me was I absolutely expected the Broncos to move a couple players, and we didn't.
For all the rumors have been going on for 8 weeks.
Yeah, I truly expected. I mean, I expected the Broncos to move a couple of those key players.
I thought Jerry Jeudy was going to be in China by this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Hiroshima Dragons.
Yeah, so I expected probably Simmons to be traded just to kind of get rid of the cap hit for the remainder of this year and roll it into next. I expected just a little bit of that kind of stuff going on, especially since there's some injuries that have occurred over the course of the season already, and some teams are going to think that they're that one guy away in a certain key position. And so someone like maybe a Jerry Jeudy, Justin Simmons, or even a Josie Jewell was another guy that I thought the Broncos might offload. But he's been kind of playing progressively better as the season's gone on, and that may be why they opted to keep him.
An interesting one I did want to bring up. So they signed Ben Neiman to the
they did to get him to stop him from you guys signing him. That was That was just the second middle finger going up after the loss. Really was really all that was.
Like, hey, see ya.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, though, the Broncos are trying to figure out what they're going to look like going ahead, not only this year but into next. So I do expect we're going to start seeing some of these guys getting some playing time. Drew Sanders is probably going to get more playing time after the bye week, in my opinion. I think you're going to start getting like Newman and other guys getting more playing time because the Broncos.
Hello, Newman.
And so I think you're going to start seeing that kind of stuff.
You control the mail, you control everything.
Yes. So anyways, no moves for the Broncos. That in and of itself is news for the Broncos because I think I, as well as just about every other Broncos fan, was expecting a bit of a fire sale. And
we just got to stop winning, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you guys are pitching too good.
Price was too high. Rich with people's blood out here.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see what happens. Captain, I'm going to bring in T3
that was
to
just for you, Sarah. I had you in mind when I said that.
It was more than the Chiefs. Yeah. That was yeah.
Never stopped.
That was definitely that. Captain, I'm going to bring in T3 to talk Raiders and your Monday night, if that's all right with you.
Sure. It's always
Awesome.
Great to hear from T3, aka Tom Jones, because he's so damn freaking knowledgeable. And I'm gonna plug his soon to be yet the time not furnished, but yet soon to be published book about the Raiders. See, he doesn't even have to do the show. I'm doing it for him. all Raider fans and all fans of things silver and black, make sure you check out Tom Jones's book about the Raiders. He'll give a title. He'll give a projection date. Just buy the friggin' book when it comes out. That's all I'm going to say.
Salute.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm happy to be in with you guys. I just came in from the airport, and of course the traffic was worse on the road coming back from the airport than at the airport itself. So go figure.
Just flew in, and boy, is his arms tired.
Exactly. Well, we had a lot of big news over the past. It's not even been 24 hours yet.
Nope, not even.
Yeah. Now, Jack will tell you. That last week when we talked, I made the statement that they needed to go ahead and fire Ziegler, and then let Ziegler be the one to make the decision on Josh McDaniels. Now, I thought fairly certain that was going to happen, that he at least give McDaniels to the end of the year, but give him a very short rope and say, okay, look, you're coaching for your job now, and you'll have really to the end of the year. But from what I gather from things that have been coming from the locker room, from veteran players, it was just so fractured that it just had to go. The whole thing just had to be, the plug had to be pulled. And it doesn't really surprise me that Mick Lombardi got fired, because he got paid for doing nothing anyway. But we'll see where things go now.
I kind of said on the onset, my surprise was not that they eventually both got fired, but the fact that the Raiders didn't stagger their firings. And what I mean by that is you get rid of the GM first because you're trying to figure out if the ingredients to the recipe were the problem, or at least if there can be a better shift with a little bit better input or better collaboration. And you at least put that question to bed. Like right now, there had never been a time where McDaniels was there without the GM. And in my opinion, given the money involved
his
here,
guy though, they're like college buddies.
Yeah, they were always a
his
package
dude.
deal.
well,
Yeah.
and that might have been that might be the case, but the problem ultimately is that you, as a Raiders fan, you would ultimately want to know, and this is just my opinion, if you gave the reins to McDaniels for the 1 year, given what his salary was, to say, all right, you're claiming that you're not doing the things, or not getting the things that you need to do, or you're not getting the production, or you're preparing well, and yet you're not getting the stuff out of the players. Here's the decision making and the drafting. You do it and go, and we'll see what happens. And I'm surprised that didn't happen.
Yeah, well,
He did say that.
The big problem is that McDaniels and Ziegler had a 6-year deal. When you are cold coming in and you're looking at changing a direction, and you give them that much, when you give them that much leeway, 6 years is a long time for something that's unproven. Had he gone 4 years, they could probably exit it out, knowing that you're still having to pay 2 years out. But he's got 4 more years to pay for this. And this is
And Gruden.
had they not been moved to Las Vegas, if they stayed in Oakland, they never would have been able to make this move, because they weren't making any money, and people didn't want to come to Oakland anyway. So just by virtue of the fact that they're in Vegas with the facilities they have and a much better economic situation than they had, that's the only reason why they're able to do this.
So what is that, like
Break
100?
spelled wrong, by the way.
It's like
The
80.
silent
80? I thought
B-R-E-A-K. Break.
the previous coach got like 100 million, 10 years, $100 million. I thought that's what it was.
They're
Okay.
paying two guys about $80 million to not coach their team.
Yikes.
Okay, here, not. See, I'm gonna hit you on that one there,
Yeah.
Alex. No,
Hit me with
there
it.
was a settlement that's already been paid out.
Yeah.
So Gruden is not being paid. A settlement was made. He's not being paid. Okay.
And the
They are
Raiders
gonna
still
pay-
may be
they
able to
are gonna
recoup
pay
some of
for-
that.
Right. And they are going to pay what people call McZiggy, because that was the tandem deal with Ziegler and McDaniels. And actually, I'm not going to, and I've actually going to say this, I'm not going to call McDaniels anything other than McFired. Okay. You can call him whatever the hell you want. You know, I'm not going to just obliterate him. He was an awful, horrible coach. But calling him anything other than McFired to me is just over the top. So I'm just going to call him McFired from now on. You guys can call him what you want, but to me, he's McFired.
There's Kenna.
That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Kenna can call him. Kenna can call him whatever the hell he wants, and I won't say what the words are. But I'm just going to call him McFired. Tom, that's on you, brother.
I call him Dummy, which is a toned down version of what I've been hearing out on the internet mostly.
Right. Go ahead.
But, and again, here's the thing. The Raiders have had bad luck for the last 20 years. They've just not made good choices. Mark Davis is the biggest Raiders fan on the face of the planet. He really wants to win. The problem is he doesn't know how. And the way he can do that is to hire a vice president of football operations. And I'm going to throw a name out there. The name is Louis Riddick. Now, I have been pounding the table for Louis Riddick ever since Gruden left.
I like that, Tom. I like that.
Bring this guy in, put him in charge, let him make all the decisions. Mark's admitted he's not a football guy. He's done a really good job in terms of the operations and making the team money, which is great. It's what Jerry Jones did with the Cowboys. But, Jerry Jones wasn't a good coach, despite the fact that he wanted to be. He wasn't a football guy as much as he'd like to think he is. But here's the thing. Put in a guy like Louis Riddick. Give him the keys. Let him make the decisions. Let him make the GM call. And then combine, they can make the head coaching call and build the organization from the top down the way they should have done it when Gruden was given his exit. That's the only way that we're going to really develop some long-term stability for this Raiders organization.
And actually, this as well, I will give Mark Davis credit for one thing. He saw what he had with Champ Kelly so much that they made a position for him because Ziegler was brought in by McDaniel to be the GM, but they liked everything that they heard from Champ Kelly so much they didn't want him to leave the building.
Right.
So they made an assistant GM spot for him just so. And he actually has more knowledge of the players than friggin' Ziegler does per reports. So him sliding into that position, that's a win for the Raiders. You bring in somebody like Louis Riddick, and you let Riddick and Champ Kelly decide who should be the coach. That's where you should be. It should always be the football guy and the GM deciding who should lead the franchise. And the Raiders have been doing it bass-ackwards, and I said that deliberately. They've been doing it bass-ackwards for years, okay? You let those guys decide who the coach should be, somebody that has what is wanted with the Raiders. And I've heard the name. I'm not going to bore you with the names. We'll let them decide because they're the guys that can see what is best for the team. And I'll go for that.
Look at Jack trying to clean up his language for everybody.
I know it's remarkable, but guys, I'm gonna throw this out there. Champ Kelly was a guy and is a guy that I had circled in the GM search for the Broncos. I really liked him as a GM, and I actually think he's incredibly talented and likely would be a great GM. And so if I'm the Raiders, I'm leaving him in that position on a go forward, and I'm having him starting now dual dutying his job right now as GM and kind of face of the franchise kind of stuff, and say, I want your plan in front of me, with 2 weeks left in the season, because we're thinking of turning your penciled in position into a permanent marker one. I want to see what you want to do, because why bother going searching for a guy when you already have a guy that was one of the top GM candidates for a bunch of other teams in the last cycle? Why let him leave the building? What's the point?
You're not going to let him leave the building. And by the way, for Gabe, since you're uninitiated, okay, and that's a nice way of calling you ignorant. Okay, Louis Riddick wanted the job. when the other guy from ESPN got it when Gruden was hired. Louis Riddick wanted that be in the front office. Louis Riddick would love to be a part of the Raiders. He's let it be known that he wants to be a part of the Raiders. And for all those that don't know, under McDaniel, the alumni have not been pretty much allowed into the effing building. And yes, I am trying to watch my mouth. And it's been a shame. And people have said that when Gruden was there, he brought all these alumni back, and they were part of training camp. They were part of the festivities. They were part of being with the players. Okay. So Louis Riddick, if he wants to, would be welcome back and would probably, if given enough money and given enough portion of that, okay, would jump at that chance. You have Louis Riddick and Champ Kelly running that organization, and let Mark go and go to P.F. Chang's and Hooters and get his bad haircuts. That's fine. That's the way it should be. Okay, I'm just saying.
There he is.
Yeah.
You can say it, Kenna. I like said.
Jack Kenna can have that one. He can have that one.
Well, Avatar, it's not unusual for Tom Jones to be connected to the Wild Wild West. It's just not unusual.
There you go. Well, now Jack will tell you that we talked about Champ Kelly a lot, and Champ Kelly was the guy who I originally wanted to be the general manager.
Yes,
I had his name circled, and I knew that if he did not become general manager and that the Raiders let him out of the building, he's going to become general manager somewhere else.
Yep.
So that now, I told Jack, I said, now's the time for Mark Davis to determine what he has in terms of an asset in the form of Champ Kelly. Let's see him do what he was brought in to do. But now he has that. He's got that pencil in hand, and of course, I'd love to see it turn into an ink pen. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But if Louis Riddick is not going to become the vice president of football operations, which I hope he would, I have no problem at all turning the general manager position into a permanent one as far as Champ Kelly goes, and giving it to him and saying, look, we've begun the rebuild. We trust your scouting. We trust your judgment of the players. And this is what I brought you in for. Now's your time.
I mean, hell, he already does it for the whole draft for ESPN. So.
Yeah.
The other issue is the other issue for Kelly is Tom and Jack. This is kind of for both of you and all the Raiders fans joining us today. You have two issues with that, Jack, at least by my kind of prerogative here. Whose scouts are in place, and this is a big deal. I think it's understated by a lot of podcasts. I only know of a handful of others that even bring this sort of stuff up. When GMs are brought in, they often gut the scouting department to bring in scouts that they think are doing their stuff their way and are kind of on their same wavelength. Some guys do it wrong, and they bring in a bunch of people that just tell them how great they are and the fact that their crap doesn't stink. And then other GMs want actual, honest, real intellectual, well-versed scouts in the building. I have a funny feeling Champ Kelly fits in the latter group rather than the former. He just comes off that way and projects himself that way. So then the question is, which scouts are actually in the Raiders building right now? Are they Champ Kelly scouts or are they Ziegler scouts? And if they're Ziegler scouts, my concern is that they are operating within parameters that Kelly may not want, and they may not be guys that Kelly likes. So if you do go with Champ Kelly as your GM and he becomes that de facto football guy in the building, as you alluded to earlier, I would caution Raiders fans to give him not just 24, but also 25, and give him that full off season to get rid of the scouts that he doesn't like, bring in the ones that he does for the 2024 season, looking ahead to the 2025 draft.
Well, I think I think you'll be able to see clearly within the first year progress or not. It's going to go with the draft class. It's going to go with who they decide to bring in during the off season. It's certainly going to revolve around what they decide to do with the quarterback position and the running back position. A happy and productive Devontae Adams is going to make a world of difference. A healthy now and productive Hunter Renfrow is going to make a world of difference. A Michael Mayer that you drafted in the second round to get a number of catches, who is now going to be utilized, is going to make a world of difference.
Who was very excited for Michael Mayer on TV? Oh, I can't remember who that guy was.
Oh, that was you. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, I'm going to have to back out because I haven't had my dinner yet. But dinner and time with the wife is important on top of everything else. So,
catch up when you're dead.
There you go. But Richie, I went ahead and emailed you my picks for this week. I'm not sure if you're doing picks at all week to week, but once again, I've got Denver not losing this week. Imagine that. Yep.
I guarantee they will not lose.
I have the Chargers actually losing a tough defensive battle against the Jets. The Chiefs are going to bounce back in a shootout over the Dolphins. And believe it or not, the Raiders are going to come out inspired and find a way to win against the Giants. So that's what I have for you this week. With that, gentlemen, I'll catch the rest of your comments on the internet. I appreciate you having me in. Short as it was, but Raider Nation is a happy place right now, and we just hope that it gets happier from here.
Buy Tom Jones's book when it comes out.
Thank you. Look for Raider 500. Raider 500 is what's going to be called. So I'll give you more information on that later. So anyway, thanks again. You all have a great evening, and we'll talk to you on the flip side.
So with that in mind, Coach, we're going to throw over to you and the Chargers game.
I don't think that we can just gloss over the fact that the new Raiders coach said he was going to touch players. I said I was going to circle back to that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, first off, I'll go back to the fact that first I like Pierce as the interim head coach.
Oh yeah, I did too.
I kids from Compton was a Raider fan growing up, and again bringing somebody. And now I can finally effing say it. Get that Patriot shit
way.
out of the friggin' headquarters. And it's gonna be taking it little by little. As far as the scouts, you'll see who was a Kelly guy and who was a Ziegler guy, because the Ziegler guys, unless they appease Kelly, they're going to be gone. Anybody that doesn't appease Kelly is going to be gone. It doesn't matter what if they put forward what Kelly is envisioning, they'll stay. But if they're a Ziegler guy, they'll be effing gone. So you'll see that right away. And it will take a while to get rid of all of the crap that is in the locker room and as in the office. And for people that want to stay, they will show it by their play. Okay. By the way, Jacoby Myers will stay because the guy can play.
He's good.
Okay. The guy can play. And that's why
I need him to play for fantasy. So he better.
Okay.
Which, by the way, you can check the what podcast right after this?
The Lightning Fast Fantasy Podcast.
There you go, baby. That's a segue, baby.
That's where I was going.
Yeah. Captain, the other question here is going to be what I'd love to know, actually, is how much notice did Pierce get that he was taking over?
No clue.
And more importantly, then I think you need to give this at least 2 to 3 weeks to start getting some momentum as he starts to implement changes to the team. Because if he hadn't been given enough notice to actually change things, then this is a hurry up and I hope I get it kind of stuff.
Well, here's the thing.
This is too good.
First off, Pierce was being Pierce per reports, and I haven't read everything. You know what? I got stuff to do, guys. Like get it.
Just
like,
makes
get
me
a
think
job,
it makes me think
like,
of
get a
School of
job,
Rock when he's like,
get a
I've been
job
touched
and
by
other
your
things
kids.
like that. Okay, I don't have time to because I didn't see the press conference that everybody is raving about and all the other crap. Okay, I got a life. Okay, there you go. But here's the thing: Pierce is ready, or he wouldn't have been tagged.
Yeah, there we go. Avatar. It's a new SVU episode in the works.
There you go. Pierce is ready, or he wouldn't have been tagged. The question's going to be is who's going to call the offensive plays this week. That's all I want to know. That's what I want to know because they got rid of McDaniel. They got rid of Lombardi, the guys that couldn't call an offense. My only question is who is going to call the Raiders offense this week? And by the way, you don't have Jimmy McNoodle back there playing quarterback. You got
just give it to
AOC
Hoyer.
No, fuck Hoyer. Okay, I'm sorry. There's your drop for the week. Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't. I tried.
Tiger got out of the cage,
already,
man. Tiger got out of the cage.
It was already out of my mouth. I apologize, Richard.
Hey, Twitch is live now. We're good.
I'm sorry. You got O'Connell.
There's just that was in the chamber, ready to go.
I saw the midget stretch his arm out to try to hit the little beat button, and it was just too short, and it didn't make it.
Too late.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Too late.
That's the trigger word. You can't say H.
Oh man, no, that's good. That was awesome.
Yeah, but anyway, back to point. O'Connell's going to be the quarterback.
He is.
And any semblance of an offense that goes through him, even though he's a rookie, will learn on the job. Okay, and he can't be worse than Jimmy McNoodle arm. Okay, I could throw a pass farther. Actually, this is bullshit, but I can throw a pass farther facetiously than Jimmy Garoppolo or Garbage Opolo. Okay, I can't throw. But the point is that in theory I could. Okay, I throw like a Tim Tebow push pass probably farther than Garbage Opolo. Yeah, I finally broke the captain. But get O'Connell in there, get the snaps. The offense is going to be better. And Devontae Adams wanted the kid to play. He wanted the kid to play. Okay, that's been evident for weeks now. I'm going to touch on the game on Monday. It was crap, but the Raiders actually played better than I mean, they were in that game. Okay?
They were.
The defense held the Lions to 9 points in the first half. If I'm not mistaken, he might have had that touchdown at the end. But they had all those offensive. They held them to 3 field goals, and they finally pushed it in. There's a reference for anybody. They finally pushed it in later. I got it. But here's the thing: is that Peters finally got that pick 6 that he should have had against the Steelers. Okay, so there it is. They were in that game, and if they would have had O'Connell playing that game from jump, based upon the way the defense was playing, they could have won that game. I'm sorry to say that. If O'Connell was in there from jump, they probably would have won that game. That's just my opinion.
For sure. Would have been close.
Yeah.
They would have just given Devontae the ball too.
Just find them. I mean, just don't overthrow them 10 times and we're good.
Yeah. Well, that's,
Yeah, trigger words.
Yeah. Safe space.
Hoyer's one of them.
Say, hey, big guy, sun's getting real low. Okay.
Nation, that's one. Nation one. That's a trigger. Yeah. Nation.
Calling SoFi a non-home game for the Raiders. That's a trigger.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm holding it. I'm holding it.
That's a trigger.
Yeah. Sorry. There's also calling it a costume.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a trigger.
The sword's a trigger word. The sword's a trigger word too. Yeah.
Arrowhead. Arrowhead's a trigger word.
It is. Arrowhead.
Well, you always go on about the security there, and they wouldn't let you bring your sword.
Well, security, Arrowhead security is a trick.
Security.
That's the word. Arrowhead security.
And SoFi. And SoFi security.
SoFi security. Okay. How about just security in general?
Well, it depends. It just depends on where you go. Anyway, there you go.
So, anyways, we'll start with a look ahead to next week, guys. Captain,
sir. Oh, next week. And by the way,
next week,
how's Waller doing, Gabe? How's Waller doing? And thank you, Alex, for jumping on that.
Yeah,
it was such an easy lob. I was like, there you go. Are you asking me about this week coming up?
I am. And
I think we were trying to blow up some
GA
trigger
Patriot
words.
Yeah,
we were trying to get you triggered, and you weren't reading the comments.
Yeah, I saw that. 50 who?
Who, me?
50 who? Yeah, 50 who? Yep, there you go.
What about this one? Damn it.
Yeah, 50 who?
What about that one?
Yes,
Yeah,
I already saw that. It's an effing uniform.
It's a uniform.
There you go. It's a uniform. Hey, if I am going to yell at Crusader Raider, the Raider fan from overseas who called it a costume. I can't wait to see you in your costume, Captain Jack. And I obliterated his ass on the air. And he's my friend. Okay. Anybody that says I wear a costume is going to get jacked up. Pun intended, jacked up. There you go. Anyway, this next week coming up, since Waller isn't going to be there, like I didn't say that wasn't going to happen before the season.
I really need him to be there, but he's not.
No, check the tape.
Very screwed in fantasy.
Check the tape. I said Darren Waller will probably not even be playing when the Giants come to town. And I, like the Nostradamus that I am of certain things, okay, he ain't playing because he has an owie. Okay. And I will say this. I firmly believe, and this is a little bit of biasness, but I also see that this is something that's going to really seal a fractured locker room where they're going to get behind Antonio Pierce. The guys really like to play for him, kind of like a Versace moment.
While he touches them, they're going to get behind him.
Right. Well, okay. I'm not touching that literally. But I am going to put money on the Raiders this week. And I don't bet. I'm going to bet the money line, but I'm going to put money on the Raiders this week. And I've already told one person when he zells me, I will put his bet down as well. And I don't bet on the Raiders, but I am that confident that the Giants are just going to get destroyed this Sunday.
Hey, I am too. It's a rally game, They always
is.
It's always like the new change of regime. You definitely see a different like a change of pace, a total different vibe.
Always two things is true. When the first game as an interim coach is always interesting, as well as the first game as a backup quarterback. When you got a backup quarterback in a game and or interim coach, they typically win those games because the other team doesn't know what to expect.
Yeah,
that's typically what happens. Now after that, I can't talk about it. It might get ugly after that. First week, especially
for all we know,
or an Ept on offense, it should be a win. It should be.
For all we know, the core of the offense was just tanking to get McDaniels out of there. Now they're ready to go.
They could rally. They could rally.
I'm hoping that Devontae gets 17 targets.
Of course.
200 yards, maybe 3 touchdowns, like 40 to 50 fantasy points, and we're good.
There you go.
The interesting thing is actually going to be if they start adapting elements of their offense in small blocks to maybe change direction as an overall team. So the first game, you maybe install 1 or 2 packages there. That was another reference to rubbing them and touching them. I hope you caught that reference there. And and I think that's where you're going to start off as the Raiders. I think you're going to do just one or two kind of looks where you're changing things, and then you see how they work with your offensive line and whether or not they look better than they did before. And if you continue moving in that direction and those all work out, then you actually shift your offense to meet those offensive changes. And you do that against a Giants team that is not doing particularly well this season, or has at least struggled in elements this season, because that's a good game to test those concepts against, is a team that, you have a reasonable chance at beating, even if you make some mistakes.
And I will also say this, is that it's going to be like the movie Remember the Titans. They had like 6 plays, but they ran them well.
Yes, exactly.
You run the 6 plays you had well, and if they're not stopping them, you're going to continue to run them. Okay.
Right.
And Wink Martindale, who's probably going to go back to being a MC for game shows. I don't think Gabe gets that joke because he's too friggin' young, but maybe you guys might get the Wink Martindale reference. Okay.
No. What's a game show?
You don't get it? Oh, okay. Well, anyway. They're going to run the plays that work, and they're going to run them again and again and again. There's going to be a lot of Josh Jacobs. I think that the running game is going to be a lot better. The offense for the Giants has Danny Stumbles back at quarterback. Like that's something good. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
I'll take game show for 500, Alex.
There you go. So you have Danny Stumbles back at quarterback.
Danny Dimes to the defense.
Yeah, Danny Stumbles couldn't get out of his own way to score.
The $45 million man.
But it's not as bad as the. I'm sorry, Coach. This is a layup. Okay, not quite like that $30 million man you guys got rid of a little while ago. But their luxury tax was 45 on him. Anyway, well, like I said, I think that the Raiders' offense, which has been averaging less than 16 points a game, will do a lot better. And I think the defense will come alive against a Giants offense, which is limp, something that Gabe will figure out later on in life as well. Limp and flaccid. I think that the Raiders defense, which has been playing well, will actually score, and it should be a very good game for the Raiders to rally around, and I'll be there. And Gabe, if I am wrong, Gabe, please be sure to come into my show on Sunday night, you little brat, okay? Because if I'm wrong, I'll make sure you get the first call. If I am right,
you're like Mr. Wilson and Dennis the Menace. Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There you go. Okay, I think the Raiders will win this. I'm pretty confident on that one. I really am. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Kat. I think this is a Raiders win. I just think that there's too many unknowns right now with the Raiders for the Giants to truly game plan for. You have a coaching change. You're going to have certain players that are going to feel relieved that they don't have to play for a coach that they clearly didn't believe in. You're going to have a bunch of the other players that are going to feel strongly that they want to try to make the new coach.
This is the Braveheart moment.
Yeah, this is one of those. This is one of the, like, this is literally like Rick Bisaccia, right? Like where he stepped in and the whole team kind of came together, right? Because as much as Gruden did
respect.
Well, Gruden had some respect from some guys and not from others. And so the problem is and McDaniels had respect from even fewer than Gruden did. So the problem is that you ended up with this mismatch. And I think that Bisaccia was just well-liked by a lot of people. And I think Pierce, is in a similar position where he's well-liked by a lot of people. And I think that when you have that type of person, what?
Former Giant, Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And see, I think that is deliberate as well. There is nothing that you want to do is win for your coach against the former team you used to play for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so. So just to kind of fit the show as close to within our time typically is here as possible, I'm going to throw over to you, Coach, since we spoke about the Broncos Chiefs to start the show. We'll go to the Chargers next. Curious as to your thoughts on your upcoming game. Where are you at with that?
Interesting. We're not going to sit here and act like the Jets offense is blowing anybody's mind right now. But fitting in most cases that we have issues with is that making pedestrians look like track runners. That's going to be interesting to see what get their run game. Breece Hall and Michael Carter. We'll see exactly how we do faring well against stopping them. But they are down 4 linemen. So that'll be interesting to see how we fare against their backup linemen, because they literally have 4 out of 5 linemen not playing in this game. So we'll see exactly what that face how our front 7 does against that. And ironically enough, this is me. I'm not drinking. I'm not on the sauce or anything like this. But I actually did the numbers. The Chargers defense actually run defense is not that bad this year. It's the pass defense that's really porous. It's a total flip from last year. The pass defense was really good, but the run defense was terrible. I think that we're around. I want to say we're like 6th in the league in stopping the run. I think that's the number. Let me get the number real quick. Yeah, we're 6th in the league in run defense, total run defense. So and so that's I was shocked to even read that. So if we can keep that trend going, we only gave up 100-yard rushing in 3 games, I think, out of the 7 we played. So if we can keep the run game down, I think that will bode well for us getting to Zach Wilson. I don't think his ability to manage the game and from a passing perspective is going to is going to really do anything from a damaging perspective if he's made to throw the ball a lot. I think where you're going to get in trouble with him is that the idea of letting them run the ball and allowing him to play action, and us getting to, I guess you can say, focus on stopping the run, and that allow him to get easy throws and voids in the defense. So from a defense perspective, we can limit the run and we can keep Zach throwing the ball. I think we're in pretty good shape on defense. Now, offensively, that's where the task is going to come in, because we don't run the ball well at all. And then running the ball against that Jets defense, nobody can do it. So I definitely think that it's going to be a pass-heavy game. I like to believe that Herbert's probably going to have about 40, 45 passing attempts this game, because we're just going to be forced to throw the ball because there's just going to be no lanes to run. Because that front 7 for the Jets is top-notch. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where we're going to have to make our hay. Being savvy and not testing these corners, because Sauce and DJ Reed are back. From their concussions and things like that, they're still healthy. So I'm sure Sauce is going to line up against Keenan a lot. And I think that Josh Palmer is going to draw DJ Reed a lot. So this should be, and hopefully will be, Quentin Johnston's coming out party, because he would naturally be the third option. Him and Gerald Everett is coming back healthy. So getting the tight ends more involved, getting Parham some mismatches against those linebackers at his 6'8" frame, getting Johnston the ball in space and allow him to run after the catch is probably going to be our best bet. It's steady offense, but I do believe it's going to be a low-scoring game. I do believe that we're going to have to be able to capitalize on and get points as much as possible. 3s and 7s matter, because I don't think their offense is going to make a lot of waves on the offensive side of the ball. So if we can get, I would say, 17 to 20 points on them, I think we're in good shape to win the game. It is in New York, so it's an East Coast game for us, but it is a night game. So that hopefully the time difference won't be affecting us that much in this go around. So typically when we come to the East Coast and play 1 o'clock games, it's a little bit of a sleepy game for us. But overall, I think that if we get if we keep them minimalizing the run game on their side, and we can throw the ball against their secondary, then getting time against that pass rush and getting the ball to our receivers, I like our chances. But it's going to be an ugly game, and it's going to be a game where Kellen Moore is going to have to be on his A game as far as calling plays, because he's going to have to be diverse and keeping them guessing. Because if he doesn't, and they're allowed to kind of predict what we're doing, with the way that front 7 can get at the people, and where the corners can cover, it's going to be a problem if we put the ball in harm's way. So what we don't want is turnovers on their side. So I think that's the only thing that will hinder us from winning the game. But it's just a matter of scoring on that defense as much as possible, and limiting their run game. I think those are two keys of the game that will allow us to win. If any of those things go sideways, then we could be in a dogfight and potentially lose. So it just depends on what we do as far as stopping their run and passing the ball against their secondary.
Yep. So yeah, that front seven is tough.
It is. I mean, I like the way Rashawn Slater and those guys match up against them, in pass pro. But again, it's going to be very hard and very rough sledding.
They stun a lot.
You stun a lot.
They were getting into Mahomes hard.
And how they corral Quinnen Williams is going to be the key. How to corral him. If we can limit and keep wrecking the game from the interior, because I think that's what Herbert's biggest issue is, having pressure in his face, when he's trying to throw the ball down the field. So if he could definitely, we can get Quinnen Williams corralled and keep him out of Herbert's face, I think we'll have a better shot. But if we allow that pass rush to get after us, then it's going to be a long day. Definitely going to be a long day. So I'm interested to see how things go, because again, I'm not overly, concerned, even though our defense is still, bottom of the league in pass coverage. But I do believe that if we allow them to throw the ball more so than run, and don't let them run the ball on us, a lot early, then I think we'll be fine. Lost cap. I think we'll be fine. Damn. But yeah, it just depends on what we do against them from that run perspective and how we pass the ball. I think that's the biggest thing. All right, there he goes. He's back. All right. Yeah, but that's all I got. So that's pretty much the keys to the game. I don't want to take up too much time. Right. We got to go ahead.
So, Alex, moving onwards and upwards onto your team. Your thoughts, what you think's coming up, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So Chiefs play the Dolphins in Germany, which is kind of a slap in the face because it's a home game for the Chiefs, but and Tyreek it's quote unquote coming back to KC, but it's in Germany, so that is what it is. But either way, I mean, 2 6-2 teams that are both tied, for number one spot. It's pretty much right now, which is kind of ironic. Although Miami is absolutely ranked number one in everything in terms of offense, but it's basically like number one offense versus top 5 defense, and which is kind of not what you would expect to be the narrative to some degree versus how these teams would traditionally match up. But
you expect them flipped,
yeah. But
completely, right?
Yeah, you are like, it would just be both off the top ranked offenses, going at it, which, I mean, to some degree, I do think this will be a bit of a shootout just because of how quickly, I mean, Tua's getting the ball out in like under 2.5 seconds. So, if they are able to get stops, I think it's going to be a pretty quick, lot of possession back and forth type game. Kind of, I'm not going to say like the Chiefs Rams, that Monday night game that was like 55-54, but I think something similar or something more back and forth pace than we've seen in these past couple weeks. But yeah, in terms of those matchups, like I said, Miami's number one in every offensive category. Chiefs defense are allowing the third fewest yards per game and second fewest points per game right now. I mean, literally this last week was the first time they gave up over 21 points, and that was, 3 more than that, and they were like in their own effing red zone half of the time. So, I mean, pretty good testament for that. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is absolutely crushing it. Like watching your ex just flourish after she left. But he's the fastest receiver ever to 1,000 yards. I'm sure there'll be a little added motivation to add some extra juice to that going against the Chiefs. But at the same time, I think there's going to be some extra motivation for Kelsey and Mahomes, playing Tyreek. For someone who's went and made his money and is balling out, he talks an awful lot about the Chiefs on his podcast and like every chance he gets. So I think there will be some added motivation with that on top of the, Kelsey called it embarrassing himself, but the, embarrassing loss they're coming off of. I think we will see a bit of a bounce back resurgence in that regard. I do think Snead will be on Tyreek. He's obviously not like a one-man guy. They're definitely going to find a way to double, if not triple cover him somehow. But, that's going to be, I'd say, the biggest matchup in terms of, how they stop this production that Miami's putting out. Snead's right now playing pretty good, sub 60 rating, hasn't allowed a touchdown this year. So, I think that's a pretty good.
He had a whack of penalties though against the Broncos. You got to be careful with that.
Okay. Anyway,
I think that was a smug way to say, shake it off.
Yeah, that's me shaking it off.
Yeah.
Then the big thing is it's going to be a huge game up front, both offense and defensive line. I just said like Tua gets the ball out. I'm trying to look for the stat and what's he gets it out at. He's 2.45 seconds is his average to get the ball out. He's getting it out quick. Part of that's probably because of the stuff from last year. But the one caveat is the 2 games that Miami has lost, Tua was sacked 3 or more times. Here you have the Chiefs tied for the second in the league right now with 28 sacks. Currently have three players with 5.5 or more, and a mini who has 1.5 and just played in 2 games. So pass rush has definitely not been a problem for them, and I think that's going to be a key matchup to watch to see if they can create some pressure and get back there and kind of rattle Tua a bit. And I think that'll somewhat put a cog in the offensive flow and kind of you can see it if you watch them on Red Zone or anything, but there's definitely, they got really good chemistry right now and their offense is flowing pretty well. In the Bills game and the other game they lost, you could tell that the pressure was getting to Tua a little bit, and that's kind of the key to get him off base so he can't just sit back there and pick you apart by going to Speedster 1 or Speedster 2. So that's going to be big 2 matchups. And then obviously on the flip side of that, Miami, is not really up to par in terms of where the Chiefs defense is, but their pass rush is pretty respectable. I just came off a game against the Broncos, giving up 3 sacks, I think 5+ QB hits. That's definitely going to be something that needs to be a focal point of this week and make sure they're keeping Mahomes upright and letting him let plays develop and not have to get into this chemistry scramble around thing, because that's kind of shown up to this point that's not as productive as it used to be in the past. So, I think are going to be the 2 biggest things to watch. Got to get pressure on Tua just to contain Tyreek. That's really the only way I think you can contain him or this Miami passing attack for that matter, because it's, essentially a Pro Bowl roster. And then you protect Mahomes in terms of their pressure. And then also got to give Pacheco more than 8 carries because, I said Miami's defense is not that good ranked wise, but I think that's somewhat skewed because they didn't have Jalen Ramsey until last week. And he very much made his presence known pretty quickly there. So, I think you kind of have to take a page out of the Broncos book and try to run the ball, at least 30 times a game, whether that be because it's absurd that I get that kind of a negative game script last week, but it's absurd that Pacheco only got 8 carries. And I don't think he got more than 1 or 2 after he busted off a 20-yard run. And I don't know what it is, but there's always like these games where they emphasize the run or seem to flow the offense through that, and everything looks good. Final product's probably not the amount of points you wanted, but you don't look incompetent at times in moving the ball. And there's other games where their run to be a screen pass or some kind of shovel that doesn't that kills the flow and kills these drives, and the flow looks totally different. So, huge trench game just in terms of the offensive firepower on the other side, and the plethora of pass rushers they have up front. And then gotta put points on the board that aren't field goals, and keep this Miami defense off the field a little bit. You can't just have these 3 and outs where you're throwing bubbles and then trying to hit a home run to Justin Watson just because, and then you're putting your defense right back on the field. So I do think it's going to be a really close game. And no, I'm not going to say that the Chiefs will lose. I don't think I would ever say that, Patriots, until they just absolutely embarrass me. But I think they're going to win. I said 28-27, but I mean, I think a crapshoot. But if they could do those things and get after 2, I think they have a pretty good chance.
I don't think you're going to have a 70 burger thrown on you though.
Oh, no. That's fine.
A 70 burger?
Yeah, no. You're not going to have a 70 burger thrown on you.
I think that was a little bit of a shot. I just wanted to put that up. Yeah. I'm just mad the NFL going to make me get up super early to watch this game. Right? Yeah, that's the only thing that sucks for me. It's a primetime game.
When they said they were playing this, I was like, I got to go to Arrowhead for this because that'd be awesome just to see what it's like when Tyreek gets there.
They move it to Germany.
It's in Germany. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
Exactly.
So you're going to take Das Auto to Germany?
Das Auto.
You're going to take Das Boot. You take Das Boot to Deutschland.
Das Boot and go to Germany, no? But, Alex, I chose to – or Captain, I chose to ignore that particular pot shot. But anywho, my question for you, Alex, is quick. Number one thing that will be the difference maker for the Chiefs winning and losing. Number one.
Number one thing? Are you telling me or are you asking?
No, I'm asking you the question. What is the number one thing? What is the if this happens, that will likely be the difference between you winning and losing the game. And don't say Mahomes getting hurt or something stupid like that.
No, yeah. Honestly, I think it's got to be a big Travis Kelce. This has to be one of the games where you give Kelce 15 plus looks and you just go through Kelce. I put that right here because Miami's 29th against tight ends. So, already a favorable matchup there.
Yes.
But this has to be one where, so you know that cushion's going to be soft already, and you know how Mahomes can exploit that. But that they have to use Kelce and Pacheco to open up things later, and that'll help them keep the flow. You got to keep sustained drives and keep Miami off the field because obviously Miami's shown that they can score pretty much any time from running or passing the ball. You got to have these long, methodical drives that don't end in 3 points. And unfortunately, the only way they can do that is by going through Kelce and using Pacheco, because everyone else has kind of shown that, while they might come through at some point, they're not. You can't rely on them to be there the whole game. Yeah. So this has to be a huge Kelce game. For sure, 15 targets, and give them screens, give them stuff to just let them get open in space, and maybe that is part of the plan already, and they've kind of just been trying to slowly work back to that because he has been banged up for some parts of the last 3 to 4 weeks. So, maybe that is what we will end up seeing. But I think that is if they don't do that, I think that they could. They would lose because they just wouldn't be able to keep up because we've shown because I think if they don't make that an emphasis, then you see similar to this Broncos game where Mahomes doesn't know where to go with the ball at times, and doesn't trust to throw anyone, so he holds on to it and then ends up turning the ball over. Whether that be, it fix a red zone issue as well, but they got to get down there to give an opportunity other than a field goal. So, I think that's the biggest key, and if they run for 8 or less times with their, arguably, if not their second best weapon, then that's going to be a problem too.
I have one other thing that I think that you guys are going to have to focus on defensively, and that's what got you in the Denver game, and that was stopping the run. I think Miami is excellent at running the football. I think their offensive line has proven that they are excellent at running the ball. And looking at what the Broncos were able to do when we played you just this past weekend, your defensive line and just defense in general 100% started to wear down as that game went on. And let's just call a duck. Denver's offensive line is not even within touching distance of Miami's right now. They're just not.
Yeah.
Miami's offensive line is much better than Denver. And so if the Broncos were able to do that, my Lord, man, you got to be super, super. I mean, that could really, that game could get out of hand.
Yeah.
Like really out of hand.
No, yeah. Because I think Chiefs are what? They're 26th right now in yards per carry, while Miami's first in rushing touchdowns, yard per carry, and yards per game. So that's definitely the other. That's why I said you got to have these. I mean, they got to have these long drives. Like they almost have to take the approach teams have taken against KC in the past. You got to keep their offense off the field as long as you can. You know,
read the room. Read the room.
What room?
It's Georgia Patriots. That was great. That
was avoided.
That's where's the sound effects for that? That's wonderful. Take care, McBride.
I did not want to talk about that, but yeah, that's not. I mean, the matchup is not the best. I mean, outside of the number one offense versus top tier defense, but Miami's good at all facets of offense, not just one. So it's kind of crappy. That's why I said it's got to be a big Kelsey game, because usually when they utilize Kelsey, they're moving the ball. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game to see McDaniel's play calling versus Andy Reid's play calling. That's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of a young dude versus like an OG, right? Like an up and coming. Like that's
one versus the OG Jedi Master. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah. Well,
I got to think about who they played last year after the Colts game, but I mean, you got to think they're going to be pretty hungry to bounce back in a big way. I mean, sucks that this is the team they get matched up with, because they're just just as better than them right now in terms of offensive production. I do not know if Swift will be at the game. I don't think so. Pretty sure she's touring.
Yeah, I think it's a concert she got to do. So, yeah, she might not be.
So that might be bad. Might be bad in of itself. Let's see. Yeah. Well, they lost to Indy and then came back and beat Tampa last year 41-33. So, I mean, hey.
It'll be a bounce back game.
It is. This is going to be the game that I think I'm going to be up watching this game, big screen downstairs. You know, this is going to be the game I think of the weekend for me, just to see. First off, my dad's a Miami fan, so I have to at least watch that game just so he and I can have a chat after the game. But I really think this is going to be a really interesting game back and forth. That's just my opinion. So obviously my Broncos are not playing this week. Pardon me?
6 Eastern? 6 Eastern?
Yeah, 8:30 or 6:30.
Pacific? Yeah, you guys can tell me what
it's
happened.
8:30.
It's 9:30
a.m.
It's 9:30 Eastern, I thought.
Yeah, 8:30 Central.
Eastern.
Okay, 9:30 Eastern.
That's still 6:30. It's still 6:30 Pacific. I will probably not be watching.
You're gonna be in Vegas. You're gonna be in Vegas. That's right. Okay, got it.
That's when you got to get up and start drinking.
Yeah.
or just come home, from drinking.
Yeah, that's when you're just getting in from drinking.
Hangover.
Yeah.
Especially in Vegas. Yeah, you don't even sleep. You just go for the weekend, catch up when you get back.
Yeah.
I'm old, man. I'm old, man. Trust me.
Just get the wolf pack out. Call the wolf
That's
pack
why
out.
they have Red Bull, brother.
Yeah.
Red Bull and C4.
Red Bull with the
Gives
heart
you
patient.
wings.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that'll
give you
put me.
wings.
That'll put me over.
Well, we know you don't use
Red Bull will put me in the ER. Yeah, Red Bull will put me in the ER. with one
probably.
of those AV. What do you call those? Automatic, the
AED,
whatever.
AED.
Defibrillators.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't want to. I don't want to ever hear that sound or that
Nobody
sound
does.
that no.
I mean, I don't know if you hear it.
Subconsciously I'd hear it. No.
How about that? We're not.
Yeah.
So,
Don't hear it.
obviously, guys, as it may have been or Captain alluded to it earlier, my Broncos are on their bye week this week. After this weekend, the Broncos will go up against the Buffalo Bills. I will have lots of commentary on that for you and next show. And with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that covers off the round the AFC West and a look ahead to this week with all of our teams and what we will or will not do and our takes on last week's game. And with that in mind, we are going to call that a show. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch Alex and Coach directly after this in about 15 minutes, give or take, for the
Light and Fast Fantasy Football Podcast.
There you go.
And ladies and gentlemen, until next week, where the West Side is the best side. Peace.
All right, I missed the damn.
When I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.